Hi, this is TJ with PTU Trend Jumper and the Premier Trader University. Welcome to today's video. You've probably heard recently that we're really keen on energy futures, and particularly heating oil happens to be my favorite market to trade, one of my top two actually, between heating oil and wheat futures. You can't really go wrong. I use a 20-tick momentum bar, and I start at 9 a.m. I've tested a lot of starting times with heating oil, and what I've found is that if you stick to a strict power of quitting one formula, that means you get one full winner, and if you're positive, you quit. If you're not positive, you keep going. It is pretty hard to not find a good opportunity to quit positive. A lot of times it's just on your very first trade. Sometimes it takes a few trades. But it is such a dynamic market. Just looking at this particular chart here, I'm going back to Monday, January 7th. In fact, I thought we'd look at the last week and a half worth of trades. Pretty much starting any time you would have been able to quit positive. So I want to go ahead and show you, just like if you start with crude oil, if you start early at 8.50 like we normally do, you would have had this trade here. You would have had the entry to go short, and you would have hit the full target. If you started a full hour earlier, instead of at 9 a.m., at 8 a.m., you would have had this trade here at 8.20, and you would have gotten short here, stop held, it came down, hit the full target. You could have even started way back here. Even if you started here and picked up a couple losses, like for example, let's just say you started back here at 4:15 a.m. New York time. You would have come up, you would have hit the money management level, you would have had to move your stop to lock in one tick right there. And the calculator is following this trade because this was the primary trade. This would have been an add-on trade, but if you use it as your first trade of the day, that's okay. Because for me, I'm going to take any setup on the first trade of the day, whether it's an add-on trade or not. Okay, the calculator doesn't know when you're starting, so if you know the rules, you just know when it gets to this target here, it's going to come down and stop out. Then you would have picked up this trade, and it would have been a loss, but then you would have come right back around to pick up this trade for a full winner, and it would have trailed down to here, and then if you still weren't positive, you would have picked up this trade. So heating oil, very dynamic. Also, if you're not accustomed to the Trend Jumper Pro, then you're probably wondering, wait a minute, I thought we're supposed to go to the third target, and we have our money management at the second target, and that's still true. What I did was I set this calculator up so that this is the third target. Looks like the second target. I have one little dot down here as a marker to remind me that I'm in Pro. The important thing is that you're going to the 2x. In other words, you're going 2 times the amount you're risking. So where it used to be the second target was my money management level, I've made it my first target. It's 1.5x. Okay, if you had the first target, if you had the old calculator on here, your first target would be here, your second target here, and your third target here. The important thing is to remember the multipliers. Your exit is at the 2x, and what that does is it gives us a very nifty 2-to-1 risk-reward ratio. Okay, so let me just move over to a clearer part on the chart. I've put some markers on this trade right here just to illustrate to you the power of using this strategy with the Trend Jumper. I put the red line over our stop level, the cyan line over our entry level, and the green line over our target level. So you can see between the red and the cyan, that's our risk level. So much we're going to risk on every trade, and whether you're trading with one position or two, you're still going to put the same amount of risk on each trade with the 20-tick momentum range bar. And I'll pull this line up to here. And you can see it's not quite 2-to-1. It's almost 2-to-1. It's 2-to-1 minus 3 ticks because of the breakouts that we need. So it's almost 2-to-1. It's a very favorable risk-reward ratio to the fixed target. Of course, the trailing stop gives you a much bigger ratio with this particular trade plan. So let's walk through the trades beginning on the 7th of January. The first trade happened right here. Remember, we're starting at 9 o'clock. This one came too early, so we had to wait on that. And we got into here, and it just barely ticked in, came up, stopped us out, and our first trade was a losing trade. It lost 23 ticks per position, so we're down 46 ticks. The next trade was this one here. It was a long at 10:02. It's a crossover long trade. 30142, and we're targeting the second target. Don't forget, that's the 2x. It used to be, it's where the third target would be on the standard calculator. 3.0180, and that one in just 3 bars zooms to target. When it gets to that first level here, we're moving our stop up to lock in a tick and take off the risk. And then we're just trailing, and we're catching a move like this. And this is very, very common. And it went all the way up to here. Beautiful trade. That was 275 ticks. And we ended the session positive, plus 267 ticks for the day. And at $4.20 a tick, these two trades were worth $1,121, $1,121. Not to mention, you can build your position like I often show you in Forex, adding here and adding here for even additional profits. Even if you would have added on this one, you would have got to the point where it hit the first target. Remember, that would be the second target with the standard calculator, so don't get confused. And it would come down and stop you out for only 1 tick. So that's always an option as well. Let's go on to the next session. Oh, by the way, this entire trade did take some time. It finished at 11 o'clock. Remember, it got in at 10:02. It exited right around 11:02 or 11:03, 11:05, somewhere in that range. So a full hour to make $1,100. Power of quitting one positive win, full target winner, and we're done for the session. And keep this in mind. Remember, I said you could pretty much start any time, within reason. You don't want to start right near the end of the session. But if you started later in the day, you would have had a short here, would have been a loser. You would have had a partial winner that only got 1 tick. Then you would have had a full winner and a partial, and you would have been mildly positive. And even if you weren't, and by the way, because of the 2-to-1 ratio, it doesn't take much to turn around and get positive right away. But then you still would have had one more trade to put the icing on the cake if you needed to. Okay, this chart I already marked up. It was so simple. Started at 9 o'clock. Even if you missed the entry, you had a chance to pick it up. You had a couple bars here to grab it. We were able to get this trade. 38 ticks to the full target. Trailed the remainder up for another 71 ticks. 109 ticks in one trade. $457, and we were done. And this one actually stopped out up here. So it even made more money than I said. And that's because of the rule that we use, where we use the last bar to close above the jump line, which would have been this bar. So the stop was here, never reached down. This bar closed above the jump line, the stop moved to here, and then it came off. So this one even made more money than I thought. And it only took 15 minutes. This was a 15-minute trade. And that's it. Power of quitting one. Move on to your next market or just quit for the day. And just to see what would have happened if you started later or kept trading, you would have had a loss. 2 losses in a row. And that's pretty common. Should not scare you. We have a 2-to-1 risk-reward ratio. The next trade, full winner, and a trailer pretty much made up the difference right there. And another winner after that. That's heating oil and trend jumper. A lot of opportunity. Let's move to the next session, Wednesday, January 9th. All right, so here we are on January 9th, and there was a setup at 8:35. We're looking for our first trade at 9, but we have to pay attention to the earlier setup because we can get in sync with this trade. At 9 o'clock, If we still have a chance to grab this entry and the trade hasn't stopped out or the trade hasn't hit its money management level, then we have to jump on that trade. So let me just put the line there so we could see the entry. It's at 0656. Almost stops out. It stays in. Stabs up right here, right at 9 o'clock. So we could take this trade. This is our first trade of the day. Set up at 8:35. Getting in sync, we get in right at 9 o'clock. Had another chance on the next bar. Even another chance on the next bar. This setup comes at 9:02. So if you're trading add-ons, you might consider that. I personally would rather take add-ons on heating oil when I see a real clear and distinct trend. I don't see that here. Trade plan doesn't call for add-ons though. We're just trying to get our one and done, first trade, any trade to full target and a positive result, and we quit. And here we go. The trade we got in sync with hits the full target, and that's a nice full winner. And then it comes off and ultimately stops out right here. So the trailer didn't do nearly as well, but it only got 6 ticks actually. But between the two, it's still 42 ticks, and we're finished with the session. Sometimes you got to take what the market wants to give you. The way we trade with Power of Quitting, we take what the market wants to give us. It's important not to forget that. Over time, it really makes a huge difference because it keeps us out of trouble, keeps our risk exposure to the market at the level that we need to move our accounts forward. So remember, on the 7th, on the first day of the week, we got 267 ticks. We got 109 ticks yesterday. We got 42 ticks today. Let's see what happens on January 10th, Thursday. Incidentally, there were a lot of other really great trades on that day, on Wednesday the 9th. I think you get the point. So now we're trying to look for our next trade. We had this trade here at 8:33, but it did stop out. We're starting at 9. This one comes at 9:43. We got to pay attention to it. That one triggers in and hits the money management. In fact, it hits its full target way ahead of our start time. So we're still waiting for our first trade of the day. This one comes right at 8:56, and it does stab in. It's still 8:58. We're still waiting for 9 o'clock. The bar's below our entry. In 2 minutes, we'll put our order in to get in sync with that trade. And here we are at 8:59, still not at 9 o'clock. And all of a sudden, we're here at 8:59 still, and this trade got away from us. It got up and hit its money management level, and it's 9 o'clock at this point in time. So we have to let this trade go. It went too far, too fast, and we're still waiting for our first trade of the day, and that comes on the very next setup. Notice this would have been an add-on trade to the earlier setup. It's okay. It's our first trade of the day for us. It's at 9 o'clock. I'm going to take this trade. Some of you may decide, you know what, I'm going to let the sequence finish and wait for the next first trade of a sequence, and that's another way to approach Trend Jumper. Trend Jumper is very forgiving. There are a lot of ways to do it. For me personally, I just have trust and faith in all the setups, and the next setup to me is as good as the next, because looking to the right, we're traders, right? We're in uncharted territory no matter what happens. So why not take the next trade? That's kind of my point of view with it. It does trigger in. It's up and down, up and down. It stabs up to here and actually hits the money management level, and then it pulls down, and we have to stop out with 1 tick. So we're only able to get 1 tick, but that saves us from a loss, a full loss right here. So that's okay, money management. Now, do we quit for the session where we have a winner and we're positive, right? We're positive by 1 tick. That's certainly an option, and I know a lot of people may decide they like that method. For me personally, Trend Jumper is so robust that I want to force a full winner, or at least get to within 1 tick of the full fixed target at 2x. So if I can get 1 tick shy of that, I'll consider that a full winner, and then I'll quit for the day. So I need another trade, and it comes here. This one is at 31116. It gets as high as 31116. Now it looks like a losing trade on the chart, and if you were back testing this, you would have put that in as a losing trade. But sometimes luck is on our side, because in reality, this wasn't even a losing trade, because this came up and went down faster than we can react to it. And every now and then that could happen. You can miss a winner, but in this case, we actually avoided a loser. So now, whether you got in this trade or not, you're still looking for another trade. The good news for us is that this trade was completely avoided because of how fast it just ticked up and back down. Then the next trade came. It was a jump off of the yellow line, but it was at 9:30, and that's a pause time for us. We pause a few minutes before and after the U.S. market opening, and that enabled us to avoid a losing trade as well. So the next trade actually came here. And whether you wait 2 minutes or 5 minutes, there was plenty of time with numerous bars to catch that trade. I'm personally okay with waiting 2 minutes, but I know some of you will feel more comfortable waiting 5 minutes. And either way, just try to be consistent session to session. Do it the same way every time. So the crossover short was our next trade. Came down, hit the full target, and this became the trade of the day. Needless to say, it picked up quite a nice move. That runner went for 129 ticks, and we ended up 179 ticks positive on the session. Just a great session. But we had a little luck going our way. We avoided a losing trade. We also had another loss that we avoided because of our rules and standing down. But even if you picked up this loss and picked up this loss, this one move would have still put us very positive. We would have been up 80 some odd ticks on the session anyway. Again, heating oil and trend jumper, very forgiving combination, very powerful. It's hard not to be able to quit positive on most sessions. All right, let's go to the next session. We'll jump over to Friday, January 11th. All right, so we were looking here at 8:30, waiting to see if we were going to grab a trade, but it did stop out. We're still trying to get to 9 o'clock. That comes right here, right at the open, and it zooms to target. Even if you missed it right away, you had the next bar at 9:01, the next bar, 2 bars at 9:01. You could have got your order in, and you would have been filled. You would have got hit, would have had a full target, and you would have picked up this amazing move all the way down for 210 ticks. And the week ended up 807 ticks. In fact, not only did it end up 807 ticks, but there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 trades that we actually got filled on, and 6 out of the 7 were winners. One of those 6 was a 1-tick winner. Okay, so you could call that a break even or even a tiny loss after slippage. But an incredible week. 807 ticks times 420 is $3,389 in only 7 trades. Now I realize it was a great week, but we're just seeing this all the time. Let's jump over to Monday the 14th. This would be yesterday. All right, this kind of was a difficult session. At least it appeared like it was going to be difficult. Very choppy coming into the morning. We had a few different setups. You have to kind of keep track. Remember, we're going to take the newest trade until it's time for us to start. And that happened on, let's see, on this trade here, it was 8:54. We're waiting for 9 o'clock, and it ends up stopping out. Okay, so while this was at 8:58, it came down, never came back to the entry, and stopped out. So that means we're not taking this trade. We're waiting for the next setup. And we got a jump trade off of the yellow line right here. And so 30346 got up to the money management. We moved our stop up, and we were able to get out of the way of this trade with a 1-tick winner. Okay, then this was the next setup, and this was at 62. Price got as high as 61, and it never triggered in. And then so far there's 2 trades only. One was a 1-tick gain. The other one was not a trade at all because it didn't trigger in. Then we had this third trade at 9:23. That one did trigger in, and that one came up and took a loss. So now we're down a little bit. We're still waiting to get positive on the session. That one was down after some adjustments, 27 ticks each. And you can see we got a long trade right here at 9:30. And this is our stand down time, but then all of a sudden it's not our stand down time. So after waiting a few minutes, we did get triggered in, and that one took a loss as well. And then the next trade was a short right here, and that one only was able to get 1 tick. Alright, so far 4 trades, 2 losses, and 2 break-even trades, and we're still trying to get positive. So that brought us to this didn't trigger in. Finally got a short right here at 10:03. That one went to full target, and we were able to pick up a little bit on the trailer. That trade got 38 ticks to the full target and 16 ticks on the trailer. So we're still a little bit negative, and the session was the most difficult session over the last several. We had to take this next short here, and that one also was a loss. So 3 losses on this session. The winner is only able to get us break even. We got 1 full winner, but a small trailer. And we're at risk of having a losing session today. Of course, that's going to happen. And by the time this trade stops out, we're down 98 ticks. So that's not too bad on 2 positions, really. It's about $400. I've had a very profitable run so far, and we're still going. Next trade is a long trade. Sometimes you got to power through it. This one does trigger in, and it triggers in at 92 at 3.0292. And all of a sudden, we're only 50 ticks negative. We pick up a runner, comes all the way up, stops out at 3.0424. That runner picks up 132 ticks, and all of a sudden, we're positive for the day, and we're up 82 ticks on the session. So even though we had 3 full losses, 2 break-evens, 1 winner with a small trailer, the final trade gives us a full winner and a nice big trailer, and we're still able to eke out a very nice gain for the day. And so let's speed forward to today's session. I'll show you what we did in the trade room this morning. Here we are at 8:58. The next bar, it's 8:59. All of a sudden, it's 9 o'clock. It's hitting its money management, and that trade got away from us. So remember what I said. If you started a little earlier, we've seen a bunch of winners. It's all right. We're still waiting for our first trade. 9 o'clock, it comes here. That one goes in, turns around, stops out, and we start today off with a loss. Okay? So with adjustments and everything, this trade loses 25 ticks per position. So we lose 50 ticks on that one trade. But remember, we're getting 48 ticks to the full target. So 1 winner, and we catch up pretty quickly. This one triggers in, takes some heat, almost stops out. Now, look at where the stop is. The stop is at 66. If I look to my left, there's a little bit of a swing level. I'm going to always work around a swing level that's nearby within a few ticks. And to me, I've got enough on my risk reward to add a little more risk if it gives me a little insurance. So I actually moved my stop up to here, but it wasn't necessary. It stabbed down, gave us a chance to even add to our position. Of course, I wasn't doing that either, but I did take the exit here at the fixed target, and I trailed down, 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 all the way to here. And that runner picked up 166 pips, got 38 pips to the fixed target. Let me double check that. Yeah, I know I said 48 pips. I know I said 48 ticks. I meant 38. So anyway, 38 ticks. And another triple-digit session for 154 ticks. So even though yesterday was kind of hard, we ended up with 82 ticks yesterday. Pretty easy session today, only 2 trades for 154 ticks. And already this week, in just a few trades, we're up 236 ticks. Normally we're done in 1 or 2 trades. As you can see, yesterday took 7 trades. But it was worth it. So that's heating oil, you guys. Give it a try. Practice it. I think you really enjoy day trading this market. This is TJ for Trend Jumper and the Premier Trader University. I'll see you on the next one.